Welcome to the Business Growth Podcast. Today I'm here with Melissa, the CEO and founder of Step by Step Accounting. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So tell us a bit more, what do you guys do?
Sure. So, Step by Step Accounting, we are an accounting and advisory firm. We work with businesses who are looking to add a lot of clarity to their accounting, mostly in the United States, working with QuickBooks Online clients.
Okay, and then let's talk a little bit about your origin story. Because I remember when we spoke last, you said it all started I think it was your dad, he was a dairy farmer and he wasn't that good with his financials, and then that led you to starting the business. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so my dad was a dairy farmer. He was great at what he did. He worked really, really hard. And when you're a dairy farmer, you work every day of the year, your birthday, the holidays, when it's hot, when it's cold. But he really struggled on the financial side. He didn't have anyone who could walk with him and guide him through that piece. And because of that, he just found himself really not knowing what to do and ended up in a lot of debt and a lot of difficult situations financially for our family. And so just seeing him go through that and how much it affected him just mentally, because as entrepreneurs, we carry so much of that weight on ourselves, how much pressure that we have to make sure that our business is doing well. And I was 17, so I was old enough to see it and know that my dad needed help, but not old enough to do anything about it. So I think now, by starting my accounting firm and being able to help the clients we help, our goal is to help not only for our clients to have financial success, but also for them to have mental health while having a successful business.
Yeah, that is so true that you're saying. I think farmers is one of the hardest occupations because it is 24/7, 365, and it's just so much work and manual labor working under the sun. So yeah, I can definitely imagine. So was it kind of like from a very young age you were just like, I need to start working in finance to help my dad with it, or how did the transition go from seeing him struggling financially and not knowing his numbers to saying, okay, I want to start my accounting, or even like start an accounting business?
I didn't recognize right away that I wanted to go into accounting. At that point, I had been exposed a little bit to personal finance. So I had some interest in perhaps being an investment advisor, and I actually did an internship with an investment firm. But from there, I ended up taking an accounting class. I was majoring in business administration, but when I took the accounting class, I realized I really liked it and I was very good at it. And so then I started going the way of business advising. So then I worked for a public accounting firm for a while, and then after a little bit longer, then I started the.
Yeah. Okay. And then what made you decide to do that transition from public accounting firm to like starting your own business?
I worked in public accounting for a while, then I worked in private accounting for a bit. But I started to notice that small business owners were needing help. And in the position that I was in before, I couldn't provide that to them. And it wasn't that I set out to start it, but that there was demand for it, and I started being asked on the side to start helping. And from there, I just realized how much people were needing help.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. Yeah. I was in public accounting and private accounting as well. I used to work at Deloitte, but not quite the same path. Then I started e-commerce. And then, so how has the transition been from working for someone to working for someone else? Because I know it's quite different.
Yeah, so I come from a long line of entrepreneurs. In my family, there are quite a few. And so I had been exposed to entrepreneurship from a very young age. And then I had also had some small businesses throughout my childhood and my college years. And so I had experience with owning a business. I think the transition, the biggest thing to me is that with a business, what you get out of it is what. So while I was very much appreciated and I did really enjoy my position in private accounting, there wasn't that opportunity for creation. So I think that was a big piece.
Mm. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I like the part where you said like you're in control of how much you make, which is what I love about running my own business as well. So the more you put in, the more you get out. Whereas like when I was working at Deloitte, it was kind of just like you got to work a whole year, and then you just got to cross your fingers that you get a decent pay rise, which for me at the time was actually not very good at all. And then I was like, well, if I ever want to make good money, have a good life, I probably need to do my own thing. And then so what has been some of like the challenges, I guess, with like starting a business? Or yeah.
The biggest challenges for me have been around the aspect of growth, because you obviously want to grow, but it's scary to grow, and there's always this. I never wanted to be an accounting firm where we all started working 60 hours a week and then we would hire. I wanted to try to hire before we needed the person, to ensure that our quality was there and that we were just treating our team well. But that has always been a challenge, because it feels like trying to get those things to move at the same time is very difficult. Increase sales and add a team member, increase sales, add a team member. And you don't always know when a team member is going to be available or when the sales are going to come. So being able to, it feels like to me jumping, like if you can imagine but the lily pads are moving. So you jump and you hope you make it to the next lily pad and don't like fall in the water. And so I feel like every time I've jumped, you're like, okay, I hope it is always interesting to see how that.
Yeah, that's so true. Like it is very tricky knowing like when to start, well, when to hire, and then also knowing like how long is it going to take to get that hire as well, because sometimes you start looking for someone and then it takes a very, very long time, and then you're like, maybe I should have started even earlier. But yeah, it's definitely tricky.
Yep, we've had that happen quite a few times where it's taken longer than we expected to be able to hire someone. But then, of course, the sales are coming in, and typically with me being the owner, I pick up the slack. And so just being able to know what I can withstand as far as holding the ship together until we can get the help on board is
Yeah.
interesting.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. And then, what are some of like the projects that you guys as a business are working on internally at the moment?
We have a lot. We've been going through a lot of growth in our firm. The first thing is that we are changing our workflow platform. And so we had separate technologies in the past for client communication, for workflow management, billing, and now we have found a product where we're pulling all of those together. And so internally, we're working on that transition. I also now have an executive administration, or like an executive assistant. And so working with her, she owns my calendar and my email. So that has been a transition. She started in this new position at the beginning of January. So she has actually been with us for 4 years now, but this is a new position for her. So that's been new. And then we added a director of operations in September, working with someone to manage the internal piece, a real weight off.
Nice. So it sounds like a couple of key hires to just help take some of like the workload off of you. And then what are some of like the goals that you guys have as a business that you're working towards for this year?
Doing a new website, and so typically I am doing 2 or 3 new initial consults a week, trying to grow our social media.
And then what do you see as maybe some of like the key challenges to being able to achieve like some of these goals?
Biggest.
Yeah, and I can kind of see you doing that, especially with like hiring the different people as well, like the operations person and the executive assistant, and especially so you can work more like on the business as opposed to in the business.
I used to be very involved in our company Christmas party. My EA would help with like the actual reservation of the location and things, but I was very involved with that. In fact, the first year I actually made all of the meatballs that we served by
Oh,
hand.
wow. Yeah.
Very involved.
Yeah.
But like this year, I didn't have anything. The menu selection, the location, the date. I didn't do anything, and so that has been very different. So that's just stepping out of so many locations, so many areas,
Oh, yeah.
and just focusing on the things that only I can do
Yeah, yeah, that's like it's like a night and day difference from making the meatballs to
by hand.
not even yeah to not even having to worry about it organizing. Yeah, that's a really awesome transformation. And then what was really interesting as well, you said you guys want to grow your social media, which is pretty interesting. Like, there's not that many firms that I speak with that that's one of their goals. So I'm curious, why is that like one of your goals that you guys want to work towards?
To long term empower 100,000 entrepreneurs to have financial success and mental health. And that is just in honor of my dad's journey with mental health and his business. And so being able to grow on Instagram and LinkedIn will give me the platform to be able to provide educational and inspirational content to people and reach that.
Nice. And that's so how is that going to tie into like the existing business? Is this like a separate business that you but there goes my sound panel. Yeah, the glue keeps happening like that. So how is that like going to be a new business that you're going to be doing, or how does that integrate like with the existing business to helping like the entrepreneurs?
So our existing business, we're at about 50. I can see us growing to around 200 monthly clients. As far as hitting 100,000, we're hoping that eventually, I do speak a lot already, but I can imagine growing that side of what I do. Maybe it's
Yeah, definitely. So essentially, like you're looking to, once the accounting firm is established, having like another business where it's more like an education and helping entrepreneurs like start a business type of thing. Yeah, nice. And then, how do you kind of see like the industry changing in terms of like the accounting field in the next like couple?
that is something, but just being able to use AI to help us come up with ideas for clients and helping us advise. It's interesting how AI can get you 80% of the
Yeah.
verbatim question from a client. If I put it in there, it will present something that looks so real.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's the thing with AI. You got to be really careful with some of the advice that it gives you. Like, I always do like a logic check and run it through my own lens as well and see, does this actually make sense? Or sometimes if it's a big decision, I use another separate AI and then I compare it. Like, I get the one AI to audit the other AI and be like, hey, is this actually right or not? So yeah, you definitely need to be careful because sometimes it can have a very big impact.
Yeah, and with that technology changing so much of accounting, it is even more and more important that we have personal relationships with our clients. And so maybe my role 20 years ago would have been very data entry heavy. But now, as we need to do less manual data entry, now we need to be able to have that social connection with our clients. Two of my team members actually have bachelor's degrees in psychology, and I didn't do that on purpose, but in the end, it actually fits really well with our culture because we are very high touch, high communication with our clients. And people don't realize how much counseling accountants do because sometimes we are the only ones that know what kinds of financial struggles a business is going through or what a business owner is struggling with. They might not have told their banker. They want to hide it. They don't want to tell their team because they obviously don't want to lose team members. And so there are many times where we are, almost like a counseling service to help them work.
Yeah, that's really fascinating. I haven't thought about it in that type of angle, but it's so true. And then it is an maybe it is good having someone with a psychology degree to do that counseling. So that's really interesting. And then how about a question I always like to ask is like, let's say you could get this like magic AI robot to come work in your business and it could do anything that you needed it to do, what would you get that AI robot to do?
Diagnostic reviews of wish that, so usually when a client comes in, I will meet with them, and then based on that meeting, I will be looking for a report. Almost always I find at least 30,000. These are financial.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds like it would be quite intensive having to do all that.
Because every client is so unique and there are so many accounting rules, and it's just like your knowledge of the situation that kind of tricks you or tips you off on what might be wrong.
Yeah, true. You get like an inkling of I should look into this. Yeah, definitely. I know we're starting to run out of time here. So how about let's finish on what's been some of like the best books that you've read that's helped you with your like entrepreneurship career?
Sure. So my favorite book for my entrepreneurship career was The E-Myth. I read that very early on, and I think it structured a lot of what we do. And then after that, I like The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Yeah.
I think that really gives you a good framework between the two books to build.
Yeah, those are really good. I would add one as well. Have you read The Lean Startup by, I think it's Eric Rice, the Lean Startup? It's really interesting as well. It's probably more like when you're initially looking to start a business, or when you're looking to like to start a new product or something, and it's really interesting where it's just basically about speed to market is the most important, and then get market feedback on whatever your product or service is, and then improve it from there, as opposed to trying to create this perfect product and then launching it. So that was really interesting. Yeah, really interesting book as well. That's kind of similar to those ones.
The market demanded it, so then I moved into accounting services. So feeling that demand before you offer the service is really important.
Yeah, before you create like the perfect product.
Yep.
Yeah, it was like one of my businesses where I was like coaching people how to sell on Amazon. When I started the business, I didn't have a program initially, and I told them I was going to build the program as they're in it, and then get feedback as I'm building it. So yeah, it was very like shipping from pretty much zero, and then building it from the feedback I was getting. Yeah, it's a really interesting book. Well, it's been great having you on the show. We could keep going for ages, but I want to be respectful of your time. Where can people go to learn a little bit more about you and what you guys do?
You can find me on Instagram. I'd love to have you follow. It's melissa.l.miranda, or you can find us at stepbystepaccounting.com.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'll put those links in the show note. I appreciate you coming on. You guys have been listening to the Business Growth Podcast. Until next time, keep growing.